Moeni. My name is Karena, this is Shanae, and we are building strength by moving off-grid. Each week we will share our progress as we begin to bring this off-grid vision to life. For our Patreons, we'll begin an additional private blog that shares more details and answers your personal questions. About a year ago, we made the decision to rebuild our lives and nonprofits off-grid. A part of this plan is to share our progress and stories along the way. We started making videos because we want to share our experiences as we prepare to step off-grid. We also want to give you an idea of who we are and why we made this decision in the first place. Neither Shanae or I enjoy speaking directly to the camera, so making YouTube videos has been a challenge. But we've been looking for the best way to share our stories in a way that is real and true to us. Our efforts to make these videos have forced us to look deeper within ourselves to find our voice and our power. We're moving off-grid because we think that is a genuine and sustainable way to find that power and many more voices. We're moving off-grid to empower ourselves and those around us by finding ways to meet our basic needs ourselves. Of those basic needs, having enough to eat is our priority. Our lives and nonprofit initiatives will be built around meeting this need. The Enough Garden will be our first major project. It'll provide Shanae and I, along with our volunteers, with enough to eat, so that our nonprofit initiatives have a chance to be successful. This garden will provide a place for us to learn and to share. The Enough Garden will form the foundation of our Sport for Development programs. We will officially be breaking ground to start these projects on February 26, 2023, which is Shanae and my brother Bryson's birthday. Bryson was a big supporter of our off-grid ideas, mostly because they went against the norm. He liked to do things his own way, and he inspired us to do the same. February 26, 2023, that is exactly what we plan to do. Shanae and I will be flying back to South Africa in January and begin making our way to the Eastern Cape, where we will set up a temporary camp. This camp will sustain us and our volunteers as we set up the semi-permanent glamp from where we will live and work to rebuild our Sport for Development programs. This glamp will consist of wooden decks that we will construct to hold our canvas tents. We've made plans to meet our basic needs for energy, water, and sanitation so that we don't need to rely on the national grid. This is especially valuable in South Africa as the national electrical system continues to fail. We look forward to expanding access to sustainable energy options to many more people. As a PhD student, I've read a lot that has made me think. But as a volunteer, I had experiences that made me understand the words I read. It's when these two worlds overlap that I'd like to think I'm on the right path. The focus of my master's research was the relationships among youth and leaders at one township Sport for Development program. What stood out most was the role these relationships played in the decisions youth made. Many youth said they had not experimented with drugs or alcohol because their friends don't do it. They are thankful to be part of a sport program because they don't have peer pressure to do things they don't want to do. Instead, these relationships have encouraged them to try new things that are positive and open doors for them. Some youth here are getting the opportunity to study at a university or trade school, while many of their peers lack the support and funds to even apply. What I enjoyed most about my time here was that these youth were getting a chance to be heard. These leaders are building relationships that redefine what it means to be a teacher or a coach. As one leader said, she is their teacher, but first she must be their mother, sister, friend, and supporter. She said she must listen to them to know how to teach them and to guide them through all their challenges. This seemed like a clear concept, but the more I read, it seemed so clearly overlooked. When I started my PhD, I looked for the words to match what I was experiencing, but I couldn't find what I was looking for. The relationship between sport and the Sustainable Development Goals seemed like a solid place to start. But how to bring these global concepts to local reality is the challenge that remains unclear. Eventually, I found the words that opened doors for me to try something new. Human-centered design is the PhD way to say a product or service designed with the human user in mind. Often we find the designs that are most successful are those where the user themselves had a role in creating it. This design theory formed the base of my PhD study and has encouraged us to rebuild our sport for development programs alongside the families who will participate in them. This is where the full story will begin. For now, we are continuing to find our voice and solidify our plans to step off grid. To support our efforts to tell this story, you can find us on Patreon. This is where we will share more details about our goals and how we aim to meet them. Thank you. Dankie. Enkosi. See you next week. See ya, Bona.